How's it going, everyone? Simon here, aka MajorRushMore. This video, as the title suggests, is the first in a regular weekly series which is called Simon Says Sundays. In these videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about issues that affect myself or my family, or topics that I want to get off my chest or have a discussion about, and get you guys to leave some feedback and comments on to get a nice debate going or whatever, and hear your thoughts on the whole situation. But this video I'm going to be talking about spina bifida, which is a birth defect that affects many people, particularly in Western Europe, Ireland and the UK and Wales and Scotland and these parts, but it affects people in the US as well, but not on a lesser extent basically. But the video is mainly aimed towards expectant mothers who've been told that they're going to have a child with spina bifida, and their partners or husbands who are going on a journey with them, raising a child. Because I know how worrying it can be, because we were definitely worried when we found out about it, and we're just totally in the dark, and we had to do a lot of research and find out all about it. But this is it. This is spina bifida from a father's point of view, and I'd like to try and allay any fears that you might have, and hopefully you'll make the right decision in the long run about the whole thing and come to a proper conclusion about it. So you can disregard the gameplay in the background. This is just me. This is my hobby. This is what I do. MajorRushMore on my YouTube channel. Play Call of Duty games, but disregard the gameplay. It's just all about the commentary and the slideshow that you can see on the screen as well, which is of my daughter Amy, who has the condition spina bifida. Right, so when we found out about it, we were at our first scan in our local hospital, an ultrasound scan which checks the condition of the baby and gives you an outline of the baby and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. You can basically tell a lot of stuff from the ultrasound, and it's where you go to find out a lot of stuff. But we were at the scan anyway, and there was one of the nurses I'm not sure if she's a nurse or a doctor or whatever, but she was providing the scan, and we already had 2 children at this point. But this one, there was something strange about it, because halfway through, while the scan was in progress, the lady that was giving the scan seemed to be a bit unsure about something, or wanted a second opinion on something or whatever. So she just said she wanted to check something, and she left the room, and we were in shock, like we didn't know what was going on. We said, "Oh my God, is there something wrong here?" And she called back in a few moments later, and she gave us the devastating news that our child had fluid on the brain, which generally leads to a diagnosis of spina bifida, which completely took us aback, and we did not know what to do. So we were in shock, we were trembling, it was a very dark time, like we didn't know what to do, so basically we were put back out into the waiting room, the public waiting room it was a public hospital, and we were in floods of tears. We were waiting to speak to one of the specialist consultants down there, and we were waiting for him to be available. We were in absolute floods of tears, trying to cope with it, and all the bad news was hitting us at once. It was the worst news we ever received, and eventually anyway we got in to see the specialist consultant, and he informed us that it was actually spina bifida, and we wouldn't know the extent until a later point, but that was basically it. He called it the curse of the Celts, which I did not like the sound of one bit, and I just tried to give some outline information, which I'm trying to do here now, about spina bifida and what it's all about. But basically it's a birth defect, which basically the child has an opening at the base of their spine. It's where the I'm not sure what the word is, I think it's called the invertebrae, the bone enclosing the spinal column doesn't completely fuse. It's left open at a particular point, sometimes lower down, sometimes it can be higher up in the spine, and it's just an opening, and the spinal column is exposed, and there can be a bit of the spinal cord exposed and the spinal membrane or something like that. But depending on the type of spina bifida and the height of it along the spine, the worse the outcome is. So in our case, Amy had a thing called had a version of it called myelomyelingocele, I think it's called. So it was relatively high up, and it was a fairly large opening in her back. And wherever the opening is generally from that point down, the child will be paralysed. In most cases, but in some cases it's not. And that can also affect the kidneys and the bladder and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so we found out all about it. We then decided that we'd go for a second opinion. We went up to the National Maternity Hospital in Ireland, up in Dublin, which is Holles Street, to see the top doctors up there. Like, they'll tell you exactly how it is, and they put it out bluntly and explain everything to you. So we went up there and for the second opinion, and we were given a really hands-on and thorough investigation and full scan and all sorts of tests and all this kind of stuff, and they really just spelled it out for us. Like, you know, they were talking about all sorts of lemon shape this and banana shape that, and worst possible outcomes, and all the stuff that can affect the child, and all the outcomes. And one of the things that they kind of put on the table was that now it was abortion. Now, they didn't say abortion as bluntly as that, but they put it on the table. Like, they said that many people choose to take the trip over abroad to the UK to terminate the pregnancy, and it's illegal in this country because we voted in a referendum many years ago to abolish it in this country or make it illegal. So we were absolutely mortified by that. Like, we couldn't believe that they were saying that to us. Like, that's the way we felt about it, you know. And like, looking at Amy now, our daughter, she's perfect. Like, you know, you'd never dream if even every time she falls or she gets hurt or something, or it'll break your heart, you know what I mean? Like, why wasn't I there to save her or anything, like, you know, to protect her from falling? But the thoughts of aborting a pregnancy is just, it's just a killer. Like, when you see the outcome of a beautiful child, like, it's heart-wrenching. But listen, let's move on with it. So they laid it out really bluntly, and then we got a full picture, and we were in floods of tears again and very emotional about the whole thing. But the more information that we were getting on it, the more and more we were learning, the more we were accepting it, and decided that we'd like to bring the child into the world and love it and treat it like a human being and as it is, and give it the full love and respect that it's entitled to from loving parents and a family. So a couple of tests later and all that kind of stuff, we were eventually given a date where my wife Mag was to be induced, where they basically induced a pregnancy. They give her a date when they come up to have the child. So we went up to Holles Street and we went into the ward where there was lots of other women up there due to give birth, and Mag had had a bed in the ward along with about 6 or 7 other ladies. We're there for a few hours, and a male doctor came along, and he put his hand down below, like, with a glove on, obviously, and he basically just broke Mag's water there and then, and I couldn't believe it, you know, just like that. He was straight in and out, and literally 2 minutes later, Mag felt the urge that there was something going on, like that the child was coming now, and that was it. So we had to rush down to the ward. Obviously, they pushed her down in a wheelchair, and they brought her down to the delivery room. And as soon as she got on the bed, Amy came into the ward. She was straight out, like, just like that. Like, it was unbelievable, the speed of it. Very little, Megan, no epidural, no painkillers, no nothing like that to numb the pain of it, because it's allegedly very painful. But us men can't we wouldn't know any different, like. But it's probably the equivalent of a kick in the nuts. I don't know. Maybe not. But yeah, so when Amy was born, there was a lot of fussing about her. They had a plan in place. They immediately wrapped her in cling film or cellophane, I think the guys in the US call it, just to keep the wound moist. The opening in her back, like, I seen it. Like, it was about, I don't know if you can see that on screen. It was about, this area here is about that size on the base of her spine, and you can see a little bit of the membrane protruding. Like, wasn't a very nice thing to look at or anything. But they wrapped her up. They put that cling film on it to keep the wound moist, and they wrapped her up in a blanket and cleaned her up a bit, and just like any other child, you know. And obviously I was in floods of tears, with tears of joy, of course, and congratulate my wife on all the works, and you can probably see some of the photos they're going through. But very joyous time. Same with all my other children, especially on this occasion with Amy being having Spina Bifida. But yeah, we got a few moments with her, and then she was brought off to intensive care, where they put her in an incubator just to prevent infection, and just to keep everything secure, because she'd have to go off for an operation, which we will talk about now in a second. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about one other thing while I'm on the subject. we were religious up to that point. Well, I was anyway, and superstitious and all that kind of stuff. But when we found out about Amy, all along I was going down to we were going down as a family down to a holy well where you make dedications to the Holy Mary and all that kind of stuff, and you say prayers and you place a photo down in a shrine basically, and you bless the photo and all this kind of stuff. And I was absolutely praying like that some miracle would happen, that Amy wouldn't be paralysed or that she'd be born without any condition at all, but on the day of birth anyway, she was definitely born with Spina Bifida, and she was so there was nothing we could do. I just immediately took the decision to I was finished with God and all religion and all that kind of stuff, and I don't believe in religion whatsoever, like, you know what I mean. I just see it because why would if there's someone up there above looking down on us, why did he decide to like bring a child into the world that's disabled, that can't enjoy the full quality of life like other children can? So I just decided that that's it with me, like, not interested in all that stuff anymore now. So but that's besides the point.